I recently heard of the sad news of a friend's friend passing whilst practicing the Wim Hof Method. As a breathwork and cold water practitioner myself, this deeply saddened me and scared me. He had undertaken Wim's breathing and jumped into a river to retrieve a dropped phone, but he never came back up. Most of us have heard of Wim Hof by now, and his methods are used by millions of people around the world. But many of those people won't understand the true dangers of it unless they go through what my friends went through that day. I think it's so important to understand what's going on with our body's chemistry when we undertake these practices. And if you, or if anyone you know, practices the Wim Hof Method, please watch this video to the end, even if you have to watch it on double speed. Wim Hof breathing is essentially periods of hyperventilation alternated with breath holds. Hyperventilation, or fast breathing, has little effect on oxygen levels, but it has a huge effect in reducing carbon dioxide levels in the blood. We call this blowing off CO2. When we hold our breath, our urge to breathe isn't triggered by low oxygen levels, it's triggered by high carbon dioxide levels. But if we've hyperventilated, if we've blown off that CO2, then we don't get that urge to breathe until it's too late, and we pass out. If this happens in water, it's called shallow water blackout. Hyperventilation gives us the illusion that we can hold our breath longer than we actually can. I'm fully aware of the disclaimer on his website, which states not to perform the breathing near or around water. But let's be honest, when you think of Wim Hof, you think of the breathing and you think of cold water therapy. In fact, many people think the breathing helps to improve cold tolerance. The ideas are intertwined in people's minds. If you think it's obvious, let's look at the child chess prodigy Joshua Waitzkin, who had a shallow water blackout whilst practicing the Wim Hof method. If one of arguably the most intelligent people in the world can make the same error in judgment, what's stopping the general population?
But then I made a big technical error. I ignored all the signs on Wim's site and that you spoke about, do not do this in water, which is, they were all over the place, but I thought, free diving is a way of life for me, no problem. A few months ago, I started doing my Wim breathing and did a series of underwater swims. I did about 8 25-meter swims, and I think I was on my 4th 50. And I went from this ecstatic state to unconsciousness. And I was actually on the bottom of the pool after blacking out from shallow water blackout for 3 minutes before someone pulled me out. And the doctors have told me usually it's 40 seconds to a minute to permanent brain damage, death.
Permanent brain damage and death. These practices are powerful, and I'm sure the people learning them will want to share them with their friends and family. Ideally, this should be done by a certified instructor, but if you really feel like you need to teach someone, make sure you're explaining the positives and the negatives, the benefits and the risks. One shouldn't come without the other. And just to make it clear, I'm not trying to tear down Wim Hof. I think his methods have helped many people around the world. I just want to separate the concepts of breathwork and cold water therapy, or any water-based activity for that matter. They shouldn't even be considered in the same sentence. We don't have to see more tragedies like the ones my friends witnessed that day. If you want to learn more about shallow water blackout or see what you can do to help, there's an amazing non-profit organisation called shallowwaterblackoutprevention.org. I've left a link in the description below.